You're listening to The Upland Rookie, a podcast presented by Final Rise, Onyx Hunt, NSTRA, Gunner Kennels, and Inukshuk Professional Dog Food. And you're listening to episode 95 with Jamie and Kara Laraway. NSTRA, National Shoot to Retreive Association, one of the best organizations that I have been a part of for the last several years. I highly encourage you, check out NSTRA and think about becoming a member today. They have so much going for them in the aspects of regional or local trials, and a great community of people who are willing to help and support and encourage new dog handlers and then get them enfolded into the sport of upland hunting, dog training, all that goes with it. Final Rise gear. Guys, this is the best, hands down, upland hunting vest on the market today. It was just awarded the 2023 Upland Hunting Vest of the Year, which is huge. Check out finalrise.com, check out all their products and much more. If you are not an Onyx Elite member already, I would highly recommend hit pause right now on the episode. Go sign up for an Onyx Elite membership right now. Use promo code ROOKIE20. Save 20% off your membership at Onyx Hunt, the number one digital mapping software in the world. It is going to open up hundreds of thousands of acres of publicly accessible land for any bird hunter. So go check out onyxhunt.com now. Inukshuk Professional Dog Food. You guys know I love Inukshuk. My dogs have been rocking it for several years now and have been performing at their best than they have on any other food brand out there. Inukshuk is a great family-owned company supporting the upland and bird hunting community, which I absolutely love. Inukshuk Professional Dog Food is a highly dense formula that gives bird dogs exactly what they need to perform in the field on long hunts, over the summer training, fall hunts, whatever it might be. Inukshuk has really put the time and effort into crafting a formula that's going to fit your dog and your needs. They have marine, they have the high 32-32, they have 30-25, they have 26-16, you name it, they got you covered. So check out inukshukpro.com. And welcome to the Upland Rookie Podcast. I am your host, Will Larson. Almost forgot my name there for a second, but glad you guys are tuning in to episode 95 here. We got a good one on tap for you. I'm talking with Jamie and Kara Laraway. We're talking NSTRA. We're talking trials, what got them into NSTRA, and it's pretty darn cool. Sorry, I had to adjust my mic here. Pretty darn cool. It's a younger couple I get to chat with who've gotten into NSTRA. It sucked them in pretty deep, and just to see their passion for it. And I'm encouraged. Again, I mentioned they're a younger couple. That's what I'm encouraged about. I'm encouraged to see more youth get into these trial games. Again, I think over the last several years, it's just been typically just kind of an older generation, an older crowd who are enjoying these NSTRA trials, AKC trials, whatever the trials are. So it's really encouraging to see young blood get into these trials and do really well and excel and get the passion for it, get the vision for what these are about, the community that they create. And so I had an absolute blast talking with these two. Again, we don't just talk trials, we talk bird hunting, a little bit of training, some breeds of dogs that they run, and kind of what's been the secret sauce, what's been the key to them competing and winning some trials from NSTRA at a high level. And so a really fun conversation. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did. And so we're going to dive in here in just a second. I also want to just thank NSTRA. NSTRA's been an incredible sponsor of the podcast. They reached out to me a few months ago and has been a great partnership. I love NSTRA. I love the trials. I love the community. I love what they're about. They've been, again, I've said this a lot of times on the podcast. I've tried a lot of different trial games, and there's going to be a trial game that fits your fancy, that fits you and your style, what you want to achieve with your dog. For me and my dogs, NSTRA has been a great fit for us. It mimics to some degree hunting situation, has components with retrieving. There's a competition aspect that I love. And so just want to thank NSTRA for their support of the podcast, for what they're doing to try to reach new hunters, new bird dog lovers, and pull them into this community and make it a welcoming one. Make it one that is not going to push people away when they come in and check out an event. They want to draw people in, open it up to men and women of all ages. So really appreciate NSTRA. Thank you. It's been great to work with, and really enjoyed chatting with a couple NSTRA members here, and we'll be chatting with more in the future as well. So stay tuned. But until then, we're going to dive into the conversation with Kara and Jamie Laraway. Well, Jamie and Kara, thanks for jumping on the podcast with us here. I'm really glad to get to know you two more and hear about your trial journey and talk bird dogs and hunting and all that good stuff. So thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're excited.
Absolutely. Well, why don't we kick things off? Why don't you guys put us on a map? Where are you talking to us from? And then why don't you both introduce yourselves and just give us a little insight on who you are?
All right. We're from Grand Junction, Michigan. It's a little town that's actually the blueberry capital of the world. We're about 2 hours from Chicago. I'm Kara Laraway.
And I'm Jamie Laraway.
And we just love bird dogs.
Awesome. And you mentioned before you're blueberry farmers, right?
Yeah, so I'm a 4th generation blueberry farmer. Family's been in it forever. That's all I really know.
Yeah.
I've been adopted into the blueberry family.
So. Honorary blueberry farmer now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And this is gonna be such a dumb question. This has nothing to do with bird dogs at all. Are blueberry farm? Is that like where you flood the fields and you pick the berries, or is that a different berry?
That's cranberries.
Oh, okay.
So blueberries are grown in rows on what we call a high bush. So we have big 20, sometimes 20-acre farms, sometimes 100-acre farms of just nothing but rows of blueberries.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. Some reason I was envisioning the blueberries float to the top, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's cranberry.
Okay. Stupid thought of the day. back to the regular scheduled podcast. Well, why don't we back things up a little bit, get to know both of you a little bit more on the bird dog side, hunting, trials, all that stuff. But bring us back to, for each of you, when did bird dogs become a part of your life? How did you guys grow up in the hunting world? Talk to us a little bit about that.
So both of us kind of grew up hunting, like with family, and my dad and I would go out for deer season here in Michigan, but neither of us really had bird dogs or hunted upland birds at all. We kind of got into that together. I saw a short hair on the internet, I think, and I was like, Jamie, I think we should get one. They're super cute. So, of course, we got one and kind of snowballed into that. We hooked up with
Sorry, did you have intentions of wanting to get into bird hunting more, or was it kind of just like, the dogs look cool?
It was kind of more of a coolness, and then once we realized like they're bird dogs, we were like, well, we should probably do what they're made to do. So that's when we got with the local preserve called Von Weider Kennels, and they kind of taught us how to handle these dogs, and that's when we got introduced to National Shoot to Retrieve through our buddy there, Mike Kibbe. And we just dove head first.
It kind of sucks you in, right? Once you get the bird dogs and kind of
takes. Yeah, it's addicting, that's for sure.
It is, absolutely. Jamie, for you, kind of similar story. I guess your upbringing was hunting and dogs and all that part of your life, really, or was that become later once you guys got your short hair?
Well, I've always hunted. I've been an outdoorsman my whole life, but we don't have any wild birds in this area of Michigan. No huntable populations anyway. So it's not huge in this area, and really the first time I ever even shot at a flying bird was after we bought that first short hair, and it was exciting and I just knew I wanted more of that, and it's really snowballed since then.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like it. Um, what is it for you two? So I know you're probably busy with farming and all that. I know we're gonna get into trials. You guys are heavy into NSTRA. On the hunting side of things, are you guys able to hunt wild birds over your dogs quite a bit as well? Like, what does your hunting, I guess, season look like? Is it all trials and farming, or do you mix some hunting in there as well?
Yeah, it's mostly, I'd say for us, a lot of our time is wrapped up in NSTRA because it goes on all year. We have to take the summers off for work. We're super busy in berries, but we hunt rough grouse in northern Michigan,
Okay.
and we've got woodcock and grouse, and we go up every October for as long as we can get away, and we kind of the dogs love it and we love it. It's a blast. The difference between trialing and hunting wild birds is it's relaxing. When you're hunting wild birds, there's no stress. You're just having fun.
Yeah. No gallery watching you or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have one of your buddies pick on you for missing something, but but that's about it.
You have buddies that pick on you for missing too? Jeez.
Oh yeah, well, and my wife.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. Makes for good conversation, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so for you said Grand Junction, Michigan. So are you yeah, you said 2 hours from Chicago. So you're pretty low Michigan, right? So do you have to
Yeah.
go pretty
Yeah,
far
we're
up north to
right along the lake shore of Lake Michigan there. You
Okay.
follow that right along to Chicago.
Okay.
We can drive about 2.5 hours and be into grouse. But our camp we go to is more like 5 hours north of us.
Yeah, 4.5 hour drive, and
Yeah.
that's where northern lower peninsula of Michigan is pretty good grouse hunting.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Have you guys traveled out of Michigan at all to chase any prairie birds or what does that look like for you?
Not yet,
Okay.
not yet. But through NSTRA, we met so many people that live out west and North and South Dakota and further
Sure.
that are almost begging us to come out there, and we're going to make some time this year to do
Yeah.
that for sure.
Right on. Right on. Yeah, the prairie birds are pretty special for sure.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that.
That's awesome. With hunting grouse in the woods, again, that's very different, obviously, than trials, a little bit more open fields, that kind of thing. Do they transition pretty well between kind of thick cover grouse hunting and then back to trials? And how does that look for your dogs?
Yeah, it's easier than I expected it to be. They know the difference right away.
Mm-hmm. They're on like a whole nother level when they're in the woods. It's actually really good for the dogs to go grouse hunting and come back and trial. It teaches them, I don't know, some more obedience maybe, or they're just more in tune with you as the handler.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, sometimes I hear that from people going, "Oh, is it hard?" Or some people say it is hard for a dog to transition between wild bird hunting and trials. But kind of like you said, I think I don't know. Maybe the good dogs really do figure it out, kind of. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yep.
At least I've noticed with my male for sure, who I run in NSTRA and wild bird hunt and all that. He he kind of figures out. He knows when we're training. He knows when we're in NSTRA, and he knows when we're wild bird
Mhm.
hunting. And then there's differences of the
Yep.
style
Yep.
and what he does
Absolutely.
and all that good stuff. So as you guys go through the summertime, I know we're what, late August right now, heading into fall. What kind of work are you guys putting in with your dogs over the summer? What are maybe your summer goals this past year that you've been working on with your dogs?
So I've been every day I rode the dogs. I just free run them. I ride a 4-wheeler around the field and do some laps. And we are fortunate enough to have a lake on our property, so we do a lot of swimming and just really keeping them in shape because we know we have to take the summers off from field trialing. So it's important that when fall comes around, they're ready to go.
Sure.
I've also been going over to our friends at Crosswind Kennel and training with them, trying to go every weekend to put them actually on birds and work on my favorite part of backing. My young dog really doesn't like it, so
I sense
we've
some
been working
sarcasm
on that.
there.
Yeah, it's been bad. It's been like a ghost in my life, but we'll figure it out one
Okay.
day. But yeah, just really keeping the dogs in shape and on birds is really important. Just so we can step right back into trialing and hunting.
Yeah. That's awesome. Do you guys, when you're training with your dogs on birds, are you guys using quail, pigeons, and launchers? What do you guys use?
Quail. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll start them. We'll start them in launchers with pigeons when they're young, and
Sure.
I think that's the best way to do it. It's the only way I know how to do it,
Sure.
really, to start them at least.
Yeah.
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 And once we graduate to quail, we pretty much stick with it.
Yeah. Right on.
And
Right
then
on.
we emulate like a brace. So when we train, we run with another handler and dog and try to just do a perfect practice.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Which doesn't happen usually,
Yeah,
but
exactly. Right. We can try, but
yeah.
why don't we back up a little bit? Tell us a little bit about your dogs. What kind of dogs you run in? Tell us a little bit about each of them.
So right now I run 2 female short hairs. Actually, they're a mother and daughter duo.
Okay.
Jersey's the mother. She will be 8 just actually in September. And her daughter Jolene, which she just turned 4. And then
And I run a short hair called Howie, and we've got a couple young dogs too, a couple old dogs, some retired dogs, and we're pretty much stacked up with dogs right now.
Yeah.
we still have that first short hair we got. He's 12 years old
Okay.
now. So.
Wow.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So short hairs, it kind of sounds like that's kind of the dog for you guys, right? It kind of sounds like have you guys?
For me, yes.
For you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've snuck a pointer or two in there.
Okay.
That I'm working on. I got a really young one now. I mean, I like him a lot, but he's just a puppy. So.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So short hairs for you guys. Does that kind of just fit the bill as far as your needs, your goals in dogs?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen, your traditional short hair that in the past isn't the racehorse that you kind of want for NSTRA, but in the States, the breeding programs have just been going for that bigger going. It's all, short hair is, in my opinion, more like a pointer now.
Yeah.
The way they move,
They're big running dogs. They have a lot of heart. And they're a lot, like, nowadays they're a lot more compact too. Like my female, she's only like 38 pounds, but she can fly around the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little
That's just
small.
kind of NSTRA breeding, I think,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then with your pointers, Jamie, again, I know you got a young one. I don't know if you have an older one as well, but I know a big part of NSTRA is retrieving. It's a huge part of the trial. Are you finding, like with pointers, again, I've seen a bunch that I've ran against, and they're all great retrievers, but I think typically when people think of a pointer, they don't think about retrieving. So is that something you're seeing bred into them more now in pointers you've been seeing, or force fetch?
I don't know if the bred into them. Maybe, I mean, certainly that's half of your score in NSTRA is your retrieve, so it's extremely important. But I haven't noticed any difference between the short hairs and the pointers as far as retrieving goes. Some dogs need force fetched, and some do it naturally, and it's been about, in my experience, which is limited, it's been about the same percentage that in each breed.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I've run against some great pointers who have whooped my butt, and their retrieves have looked very well, and so I'm always a little impressed by that.
Me too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, what got you guys into NSTRA then? So getting your first bird dog. Though again, a lot of people pick up the first dog, they think about hunting. Well, the NSTRA and trials is kind of a whole nother thing. What led you guys down that path?
Well, we hooked up with that local preserve guy, and we met Mike Kibbe, and he was running in National Shoot to Retrieve and kind of introduced us to it, and just kind of opened our eyes that we don't really have that wild bird population around us. So NSTRA can kind of emulate that. It's really close to hunting, and we really hooked onto it, and there's so many local trials that we can go to within a few hour drive. So I think over in the whole country, there's over like 1,000 local trials. So wherever you are, you can find an NSTRA trial. And that was just really appealing to us because we wanted to keep running these dogs and doing what they love and not just staying on a preserve and hunting a few pheasants every day, but really getting that competitive nature out of them.
Sure. That's awesome. Take us through what was your first experience with NSTRA? Did you guys, again, being new and stepping into that? I know you met Mike to kind of introduce you guys to it, but did you guys go observe first? Did you just sign up for a trial and enter your dogs right away? Take us through, kind of the beginnings of really getting into this.
And so through that preserve that Kara was talking about, the guy that owned the place, George Daniels, a super nice guy, an older gentleman. He had a young short hair there. He was just a year old, and he mentioned he might sell him. And I really liked the dog. I got to know him well just from our time over there training and stuff. So I ended up buying the dog from him. And Mike Kibbe, who was a dog trainer there, had mentioned that he thought the dog was good enough to run in some field trials. And at first, I wasn't super interested in that because I guess I just had no experience. I didn't know. I didn't think I could handle it maybe at first. So he talked me into going to a trial. They had recently started the amateur program. The first time they did it, where you would only run against other amateur dogs, and that was enough for me to be comfortable enough to make the trip over to the east side of the state and give it a shot. And really, I ran one brace, and I don't think I did anything spectacular, but I got to point and flush and shoot a couple birds, and I was like, you know what, this is just too much fun. From there, I don't think that was I started in amateur in 2015, and I bet we haven't missed a half a dozen local trials since then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's awesome. And you mentioned, so the amateur, so is it still this way maybe by you guys? So do you only run against, at least currently in the amateur division, do you only run against other amateur dogs, or or amateur dogs run against open dogs?
Yeah.
You can do it both ways. They have an open combined where it's drawn randomly and you place separately.
Okay.
So you might draw an open dog as an amateur, but you'll still place as an amateur.
Okay. So that's how I've experienced it in the Rocky Mountain region.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
and there's this it's not a new format, it's kind of an older format, but we updated it to where it's called Open Novice. And so the novice is essentially an amateur dog, and they're braced against amateur dogs and open dogs against open dogs. And then they're run throughout the day just like a normal trial. And the novice/amateur dog can earn amateur points now as well. So that's kind of a cool new updated format we've been trying out.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Talk a little bit more about again getting into to kind of a new trial game for people out there. Typically, okay, I'm just gonna make kind of a typical general statement. Typically, some of these trials, I've done some AKC stuff. Some horseback stuff, walking trials. I've done lots of NSTRA. Typically, it's an older generation, I'm going to say. Typically. I'm not saying there's not younger people in there. Talk a little bit about what's the makeup of your region maybe, or what have you seen? Is it still an older population? Is it getting younger? Are new people coming into NSTRA? What are you guys seeing right now?
Yeah, I think we're seeing some growth as far as new people coming in. Just in the last year or two, I would say, especially. But mostly I would say it's the older generation that's running it. That are our members, but definitely seeing some new people come in, and some of them kind of like us, these first time bird dog people that
Sure.
You get hooked up with these clubs like Crosswind Kennel, where we go all the time, of Scott Townsend's. And he draws in so many people, and what he does is NSTRA, so that's what they do. Just like us, you get sucked into it. And
You really do.
It's fun.
You really do. You really do. Thinking about someone listening out there who maybe they're on the cusp of wanting to join NSTRA and get into a trial. I guess what would you tell them? Because again, there's a lot of nerves going into something new, right? There's nerves going into it's a new group of people. Am I going to be judged? Do I have the dog? Is my dog going to be good for it? Talk a little bit about calming someone's nerves of trying something new, trying out NSTRA.
Well, any region I've ever been to is so welcoming. And as a new person, looking back now, I would go to a trial, check it out. A lot of places will let you ride along with the judge. So that's really nice. You can kind of see where your dog stands compared to others. Another really nice thing we've been doing is the mentor program. So you can run your dog an amateur brace or even an open brace, and you can have someone walk along with you and kind of walk you through and what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and give you tips and tricks of the game.
That is awesome, because my first trial I had Andy Taylor. I don't know if you know him at all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we know
Uh-huh.
Do
him.
you? Nice. So he walked along with me, and it was so helpful, because I going in my very
Yeah.
first one, I'm like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Like, again, I've hunted a lot, but again, a new atmosphere, new rules. Like, it was a lot to take in. And so to have that
Yeah.
mentorship program of where, someone can walk along with you, kind of describe, give you pointers, super helpful. Super, super helpful. Is that something new is that something newer that NSTRA has brought in, you said?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's newer.
Within the last couple of years, the mentor program came about. Kind of, we more like established more rules about it. So I think you can do it for 8 braces
Yeah.
or 8 times. But it's been really helpful, and it makes that handler calm down a little bit. Like, oh, I am doing this right, or. And our judges, though, they're really nice. Like, I mean, I'm a judge. Jamie's a judge. I don't think, as judges personally, I'm not out to get you. So if you have a
Sure.
question like, am I doing this right? Of course, I'm going to help you out and say, yeah,
Right.
you are doing it right. Like,
Yeah, especially for the amateurs.
yeah,
Everyone's here to help you. We want you to be comfortable, and we want to retain you.
yeah,
We want you to stay and come back to the next trial.
Right.
If you don't have a pleasant experience, you're not going to do that.
Yeah.
right.
Exactly. Talk a little bit about it's maybe kind of a broad question, but again, with the amount of NSTRA that you both have run, what makes a NSTRA dog really stand out? And I'm talking about a dog who wins a national or wins a pretty large competition. What kind of sets those dogs apart in your minds?
Well, for me, really, my most successful dog is the one I'm running now. He's a national champion, a regional champion, and the thing with this dog is he lets me help him, so he handles
Hmm.
for me. If I need him to, I try to send him. Now you got to go out and find your own bird. But sometimes, I mean, and this happens all the time. Sometimes you find a bird, you walk across it, and if you can't
Sure.
get your dog to come in there, then you lose that. And in an elimination trial like a national or regional, that's the whole game. I mean, you go home for stuff like that. So, I personally really focus on handle. When I hit the whistle, that dog has got to come right now.
Sure.
And that's been the main reason for any success I've had with this dog, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kara, would you add anything to that, or what have you seen, or
Yeah, it's just a weird mix of your dog having that competitive nature that wants to go do it by himself, but then you have to be able to reel that dog back in and, like Jamie said, become a partner with it and work together to go around the field. And if you do see that bird, call him back in and be able to handle him from there. The handling is a really big deal on the game.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially, if a dog's out of bounds, you need to get him back in. Like, that's a
Right.
huge part.
Yeah, a lot of fields don't have fences or
Right.
anything, so that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, on the training side of things, have you guys trained your dogs mostly yourself? Have you leaned on friends, mentors? Like, what does that look like for both of you?
We've done both. We have a ton of help from our buddy Scott Townsend and Thad Townsend, his nephew, where they broke dogs for me from start to finish. And then we've got like Kara's Jolene dog, where she broke herself with lots of help
Yeah.
from guys like that and Scott. But whenever we hit a roadblock, we've got enough friends to help us. What do we do here?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Talk a little bit about the judging side of things. So you both are judges. Was that kind of just a natural next step for you both of going, you know what, we're enjoying this. Let's kind of help out on that side of things. Talk about the judging process and what does that look like?
Yeah, so to become a judge in NSTRA, they have judging seminars. Like each region will hold one, usually every year. And then there's specific like teachers that will go through all the judging guidelines and scenarios and rules. It's usually about a day worth of studying, and at the end there's a test to get your judge's card. Once you go through that and get your judge's card or your test done and pass that, you have to ride along. I think it's for 8 braces. And you ride along with the judge, and you actually like fill out a card just like a judge would do. And then at the end, you would compare that. And then once that's all done,
You would
you're
compare that
judging.
with the other
Yeah.
licensed judge, or whatever you say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're talking to them the whole time too. It's not like it's a test that
No.
you're going to fail. You know,
Sure.
whenever you have questions,
Yeah.
you
Score
just
too
say,
high
"Hey,
or too low.
yeah, yeah."
Right.
You talk to the experienced, licensed judge, and to where you can get comfortable enough to be out there by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then your judging instructor approves those, and then you're on your way to your judge's card. But
That's awesome.
I don't know if you want us to get into like what we're judging or.
I would love to, if you could. I'd love to kind of go down that path a little bit. I think it gives us an insight of what are judges looking for? What are you guys looking for?
Yeah. So, I mean, each brace is a 30-minute brace. You're paired against another dog and handler. Each handler and dog has their own judge, and you ride around on a four-wheeler and follow the dog. You are scoring the find, which is a 0 out of 100. And you're scoring like the style, if that dog's taking steps, if it's low, all sorts of things, really.
Yeah, everything.
And that's all in
goes.
the fine category, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And sometimes judging is just the way you feel about a piece of work. Was that snappy? Was it impressive? Did you go, whoa, when that dog hit the bird?
Sure.
That's a high find, that goes up. And the same is true about, marking down. It's sloppy piece of work where they just kind of lumbered into it or took some steps, and it's just not intense. That those kind of things are hurting your score.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then the next thing after the find you would score is the retrieve. So that's just how quick the dog brings the bird back. Does he drop it? Does he mouth it a lot? Does he mismark it, or is it a blind retrieve? A water retrieve gets more points. Just like Jamie said, kind of if it's more sloppy, you get less of a score. If it's really whippy and fast, if the dog jumps up on you and hands you the bird, like you get more points for that, like
Sure.
in my book anyway. Just the willingness of that retrieve is really important.
Sure.
And then you get scored a backing score.
Yep.
Just one time.
Your first opportunity to back.
Yeah.
In a brace.
Yep. So and talk about that a little bit more. Opportunity, meaning.
So your brace mate's dog is on point, and your dog gets to where they're in the area where they should see the pointing dog, and they're supposed to honor that point, which is what we call back. And that's a 0 to 75 score. And what you'll see, and that's kind of what we were talking about earlier with Kara's young dog, is these dogs get so competitive and they figure this game out. And they know, like we were saying, the difference between wild bird hunting, training, and field trialing. And what we see a lot of, and it maybe, I know it's not just a short hair thing, but we see it in short hairs. They don't want to back. They want to point the bird, So you'll see them come in there and look at that other dog, and either they're going to do one of three things. One, they're going to back like they should.
Hopefully.
Which is what you want, Two, they're going to look right at that dog and get the heck out of the area, thinking, I'm not doing this. I'm going to go find my own bird, Or three, which in my opinion is the worst thing they could do, is they're going to go in there and help point
Try
that
to
bird
point.
right in front of that other dog.
Yeah.
And that's where you're going to get a 0 as a judge there.
Okay.
And the same for blinking it. If they look right at that dog and leave, that's a 0.
That's what I was going to ask you about. So let's say the dog, they're not going to go steal the point and they're not going to back. So the number 2 option, you said they kind of know the dog's pointing, but they're going to be like, I'm going to keep finding my own bird. Does that count as their one opportunity?
It does. Yep.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it does.
Okay.
Yep. They should have backed, and now I prefer that over stealing point.
Sure.
But
because that takes time, right? You got to go collar the dog, and that takes a lot of time.
Yep. Okay. Exactly. Yep.
Okay. All right. So we went through the find, the retrieve, the backing. Is there 2 more I'm missing?
Yep. So there's obedience. And that's just your general how the dog's handling. If the collar or the handler's like calling them nonstop and the dog's not listening, I mean, it pretty much is self-explanatory. Even if a dog like the blowing in the back.
That contributes to your overall obedience, because that's just being disobedient.
Right. Or taking a bird out, or just little stuff like that.
They're taking steps on point, and the handler's yelling, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" and the dog's taking step after
keep
step.
Stepping,
That's disobedience.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay.
And then the next thing would be your ground coverage. So that's how well your dog's hunting and covering the ground. It's kind of funny to me because sometimes there's a dog that really only finds one bird or not even a bird, but their ground coverage is so good because they're just hunting their butts off. But it's just whether the heat or the cover itself, it's just kind of making it hard. But that's really important too, is the ground coverage, how intelligently the dog's working the field.
Yeah. And you as judges, do you care about, I guess, range from the dog to the handler? Like, is it good or bad if the dog you're in one corner and dog's in the other corner hunting? Is that a negative in your minds?
I think it depends. If there should be a bird over there, then you want your dog over there. You want it. Sometimes you need to cut across the whole field to get that next bird. Now it's different if, say, that area you've already moved a bird from that quadrant, and the handler's hacking on their dog to come back, and they're still, they're still over there. Now that's disobedient, and I'm gonna hit you a little bit on that. That's
sure.
It's not good for sure.
Sure. So it's kind of more like, if, again, kind of working as a team. So if you're kind of working as a team and the dog's really far from you, that's good. But as long as you're kind of in unison a little bit, does that make sense?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Right on. What are some things, I guess, both from what you've seen as judges, but then also what you've seen just as participants, maybe some common mistakes, maybe that new handlers out there maybe make, and maybe some encouragement you could offer to say, hey, these are some things we see, either can knock you some points, or maybe doing this differently could help lead you to some more success. Is there anything you guys see that are some common mistakes?
The biggest thing I see is that people, I think they just get that adrenaline in them and they're in a rush. It's like they go to one area, they don't find the bird right away, so they leave. And I always, when I mentor, I'm like, just stay here for a while and try to get your dog a bird, and don't rush out of here. I mean, obviously you got to watch your brace mate, and if they're kind of moving on, you don't want to get buried in a corner trying to find this bird. But if you have the time and everything works out, stay there and try to get that bird.
Yeah, that's good. Jamie, would you add anything?
I would say, and it's a mistake that I was guilty of making early in my NSTRA career anyways, hunting an area that's already moved a bird. So you'll see people, even at these nationals, sometimes, the brace mate will go into an area and get a bird, and you'll watch a guy follow him in there after the bird's already been produced. And it's just, and you might get lucky and have a leftover bird or something like that, but the odds aren't in your favor there. So I would say hunting used ground, is a common mistake.
Yeah. What would you guys say in, let's say you're running a brace with someone, and five birds get put out, correct? Each brace, besides the first one.
In the first brace,
6.
yeah, 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
let's say you're running the first brace of the day, even six. Your brace mate puts up 6, or whatever brace it is. They put up 5. I guess what advice would you give someone? Just keep hunting, just keep working that field, or what would you tell someone?
Yeah, never give up until time's called. I mean, there's times where I've been out there and I found a bird within the last 30 seconds, and when the time's up, you get an extra minute to produce that bird. And it's happened to me multiple times. So never give up, because you got the time. So why not use it?
Yeah.
Yeah, hunt till the end. Absolutely, always. I mean, I've seen it. It's not common, but I've seen multiple times where 2 placements came out of the same brace. Where one guy had 4 birds, one guy had 5 birds.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens. Wow. It's not common, but it's
not
possible.
Impossible. Not impossible. Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome. I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. Can you guys explain a 2-bird area and kind of what that scenario is when a judge will call a 2-bird area? Can you break that down a little bit? That's something I'm a little confused on still, and I think maybe some listeners are as well. Maybe I'm the only one.
It's a headache for a judge to mark. I will say that in my experience anyway. But Jamie would probably be good at explaining it.
So you've got a dog on point. The handler goes in and flushes his bird, but it flies, say, over the judge or towards the brace mate or somewhere. It's in some direction where it's unsafe to shoot that bird. The handler calls a safety. Now that bird has been scored on. We call that a scored on bird. And the judge is going to do their best to watch where that bird goes and lands in the field. And if the dog doesn't, take it out or retrieve it or the bird stays in bounds, wherever that bird landed becomes a 2-bird area. And it's kind of up to the judge to determine the size of the 2-bird area.
Oh, okay.
Because most times when a bird is flushed like that and they land, they're going to keep moving. So you don't just call it the spot.
Sure.
It's not just this little pine tree is where that bird is, because they probably moved on from there. So you have to give it a circle, say a 20-yard circle or whatever you feel is a reasonable area. So that area becomes a 2-bird area. So that means in order for a dog to score a bird, to get a score on the card, you have to produce 2 birds in that area, whatever the judge determines is that area.
So you have to score on that bird that potentially landed there.
Yep, you've got to take a bird out for no score. The first bird that you point in that 2-bird area is not scored.
Gotcha. Okay.
So then if you score that, you take that bird out, it's not scored on the card. Then your dog turns around and goes right back on point, and you put a second bird in there. Now that second bird is scoreable.
Gotcha.
That's no longer a 2-bird area. That's a scoreable bird. That was
you kind of need to get rid of that first bird in a sense.
You want to take them out. As a handler, I always try to take those birds out, get them out of the field.
Okay.
And then there's that confusion is over. The next bird I point is scoreable in that case.
And for the next brace, though, it resets. It doesn't count. It doesn't stay like a 2-bird area.
Right. Yeah. It's not a 2-bird area all day. It's only for the rest of that brace.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So Jamie, you kind of alluded to this maybe a little bit, but I guess your recommendation then for someone is it kind of just to leave that alone, or to go in there and let's just focus on that, getting rid of that bird?
Well, the strategy changes all the time because if your dog's right on it anyway, just get it. Get it out of there. But if your brace mate's moving down the field scoring birds out while you're messing around with the bird you can't even score, you don't need that time waster. You need to be able to move on, and that's where, like I was saying, the handling ability of a dog. It's sometimes you've got to call your dog off of that bird, for a safety reason or just a time reason. And that's an important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the word strategy. That was going to be one of my next questions on just strategy, and I'm sure there's 50 different strategies or more, probably, right? With NSTRA, is there a strategy? Is there a common one? Does it just evolve brace by brace, or what have you guys expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, I think it's always different. Every brace is different, and that's where experience makes a big difference when as far as even having that mentor be able to walk with you and explain what to do in this situation. And there's 1,000 different situations that could happen, maybe more.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's important.
Yeah, you always go out in the blind, you have a plan in your head, but as soon as you let your dog loose, you're like, this is how it's gonna go.
What was that plan I just talked about?
Yeah, you just have to adapt. I think that's where some people struggle is you got to be on your feet thinking like, oh crap, I got to turn around and go the other way, or I got to follow them, or it's just it's a huge strategy game.
Yeah. And the other thing too, and haven't talked about exactly, but the time. I mean, there's a clock. There's that time factor going. You don't have unlimited time, so there's this clock in you of going. Okay, it's going to take me a while to walk there, to walk here. Do your whatever pattern you're going to walk in, and so that me as a handler, at least, I'm always thinking about that clock of going crap. Like, I try to remember to set like a watch or something just to like help me keep track, but it's hard to like.
Yeah.
Always remember like timing and like, okay, how much time have we burned looking for this in this one corner or the middle or whatever it is.
Yeah. It's you against your brace mate and the clock.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to be able to handle your dog so he's not running straight to the back and you got to walk as far as you have to.
Yeah, he's going to go on point and you have to walk all the way over there.
And it happens to me all the time.
Yeah, me too. As much as you try to prepare for the opposite of that, it's going to happen. You're going to be there.
Exactly. Why don't you guys talk a little bit about, maybe I'll give you some time to brag on your dogs, talk a little bit about NSTRA. What have you guys accomplished individually with your dogs in NSTRA the last couple of years?
So my Jersey dog, she's, like I said, an 8-year-old. She's a 6-time champion.
6-time? Jeez.
Yeah.
And she's how old?
Yep. She'll be 8 this month.
8. Okay, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, and our first belt buckle, we were top 4 in the top performance, I believe, in 21.
Just the performance.
Yeah, the UKC performance.
Is that the same as the endurance up in Montana?
It's the opposite trial. So one is in Labor Day and one is in Memorial Day. So this is the Memorial Day trial, which was in Nebraska a couple years ago.
Okay.
So that was our first buckle, and it was amazing.
Wow.
And that was actually before I had earned a buckle myself.
Oh, no way. You beat him to it, Kara.
You beat me to it. She still got more buckles than I did. So.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, from there, Jersey, she was top 4 in the Purina Top Performance Award, which is kind of like a yearly high point.
Okay.
It's a overall points championship for all we have 5 nationals a year.
I was going to say, and that's national. That's not just in your region, right? That's national.
Nope.
Yeah.
The only points that count towards the top performance at a region level are for your regional elimination trial, which is your state championship, essentially.
Gotcha.
Yeah. This top performance awards your national trials, and you also have to have 20 weekend points in order to qualify for it. Okay. So she got that, and actually Howie, he's been on that list 2 times now for 2022 and 2023. Would it be? Yeah.
Okay.
And then the most exciting news of us is that in 2022, Jamie and his dog Howie won the Trial of Champions on the Open Division.
Wow.
And then myself and my dog Jolene won at the same trial the amateur portion of it. Yeah. And so that was
crazy.
Just so cool.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
So it's an amateur national.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the champion of champions trial, which is a national.
And just so we're clear, so the champion or Trial of Champions, whatever you called it, is that like the top championship basically of the year?
I would say, in my opinion, they're equal.
Your opinion, it's the top. It's the top, right?
Yeah.
The 5. No, I wouldn't say it's the top. I mean, it is prestigious in that to qualify you have to be a NSTRA champion.
Okay.
So I would say generally the average dog is supposed to be better in that trial.
Sure.
But any national is a huge accomplishment. I mean, it's just so difficult to get your dog
Yeah.
all the way through and then win the dang thing.
Yeah.
You know,
That,
it's a big deal.
absolutely. Absolutely. My goodness. So wow. I have so many questions. So many questions. But Kara, back to your dog Jersey real quick. So 6-time champion, that's a lot of, again, kind of like Jamie's saying, it's a lot of work to get to one championship,
Yeah.
right? A lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of things that go your way, all those things. What has what would you contribute some of that success to with Jersey? What makes her stand out to get to that point of a 6-time champion?
She's a wild woman. From day one, that dog has had more heart than I've ever seen. She just amazes me. She goes out there and she wants to win. She sees that other dog and she's like, "No, I'm gonna beat you there to that bird."
Little competitive
And
side.
yeah,
Very competitive.
she passed that down to Jolene, and those two girls, they give me a run for my money. But just consistency, really. I mean, you have to train your dog. I always say you got to train more than you trial, because it takes a lot of work. And so you need 18 regular points and then 9 first place points for a championship.
Yeah.
So yeah, just trialing regularly and keeping up on that training is what really helps get you there.
Dang, that's crazy. Okay, and then so talk. We were talking a little bit before we kind of jumped on and recorded here. Talk a little bit about when you two had to face off in the, was that the Open?
Yeah.
The regional elimination.
Regional elimination. Talk a little bit about that. That's a little unique to the two of you facing off in a final like that. How'd that go down?
As far as we can tell from our research, it's the only time it's ever happened where
Really?
a husband and wife have run each other. There have been a few instances where one guy had both his dogs in the final hour, the championship round. So, you know, maybe someone's wife would step in and run that other dog for them. But for a husband and a wife to each run their own dog from the first race to the championship round, it's the only time it's ever happened.
That's crazy.
It was pretty exciting.
What were you two feeling? Were you like, you know, you're right now for this next 30 minutes, I don't care what happens. Like,
honestly, in my opinion, the pressure was off.
Yeah.
When I realized we were going to be in it, because we can't lose.
Yeah.
You know, even if I lose, I don't lose.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, that's not to say we didn't go out there and try to win, because we did. It was a knockdown, drag out race, no doubt.
I bet. And you were saying, Jamie, earlier that so the only way you can't, if a dog is co-owned, right? The only time you can do that is in. Yeah,
if you're co-owners on a dog, you can't draw each other. It just takes that out of the random draw.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the only time Kara and I can run each other is in a championship round and in the final hour of a national or a regional elimination.
Okay.
Yeah, and we always joked about when it was going to happen. We were like, man, that would be so cool, like running each other. And then finally at our regional elimination trial this past spring, it happened, and it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Talk a little bit more, Jamie. So trial champions, do those get extended to hour braces, half hour braces? Talk a little bit about what was that trial like?
So they're all half-hour braces all the way through. It's just an elimination trial, so you've got to make a cut based on your score. So you have the first rounds are either Wednesday or Thursday, depending on how many dogs are in the trial. Sometimes the first round takes 2 days to get it through. Where the Trial of Champions is held is in Amos, so they actually have 3 fields. And usually you're able to get more first round braces in a day there because you have an extra field. So,
okay.
But anyway, you'll randomly draw your opponent, your brace mate, and based on how you do in that brace, if your score is high enough, you'll make the cut to the next round, which will be Friday.
So
the same thing happens
dogs on a regular basis based on the score.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. You either make the cut and you advance to the next round, or you don't and you're eliminated. You know, a single elimination. So
sure.
you make the cut to Friday, and then if you run against another guy who made that cut, and generally only one of you is going to move to Saturday. And Saturday there are several rounds where your dog has to run quite a bit on that day. It's hard on a dog. It's hard on a handler too. You know?
I'm sure. Well, especially if you're running multiple dogs too.
Oh yeah, which Kara does. You know, I've only got one going now. Hopefully in the near future I'll have a second one. But
sure.
It's hard, and there's some guys that run 3 or 4 or more. Yeah. I'm always impressed by those guys, how they can. Yeah. I'm wore out from one of them.
I know.
But if you're lucky enough to make it all the way to the championship round, that's actually, they combine 2 fields. They plant 10 birds, which a normal plant is 5 birds, and it's a 1-hour brace.
Oh, okay.
That's the only time you'll run more than a half an hour.
Gotcha. Okay. Dang. So that expands the area, the time, bird count, everything.
Oh yeah, strategy changes. Everything's different.
Strategy's out the window, I think, at that point for me. Whatever happens.
Yep.
That's crazy. Have you guys ever run the endurance one at all?
Oh yeah.
You have? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's actually coming up next week. We'll be headed out to Iowa, but the last couple ones we've been to have been in Montana.
Okay. Right on.
This year it's in Osceola, and it starts, I think, September 3rd. I'm not sure exactly.
It's always the week of Labor Day.
Yeah.
Okay, so coming up here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's a different format. That's a beat your brace mate.
Okay.
So your goal is to beat your brace mate and to move on, because some of the others are top scores, usually the top 16 in the first round anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, this one's kind of exciting. It changes the whole game. You're out there to beat your brace mate. You don't have friends during that brace.
Yeah, no friendships out there.
No.
No, and you mentioned multiple dogs. I only run one in NSTRA right now, and there's pros and cons to it. It's you just focus on that one dog, but then there are people who are running 2, 3, 4 dogs, and I'm like, that looks more fun because you're involved more, but also taxing because sometimes they're just getting off field B, and then they have to go right over to field A, and so they're working hard, I'll say, especially the handlers.
Yeah.
When you run multiple.
Well, and it kind of keeps at a national level. It's nice to have more than one dog because it kind of gives you more chances.
Yeah.
Better luck to move on.
Totally. More walking, less sitting around, I guess, if you're running with dogs.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. I had another question for you guys, but it's totally spaced my mind now. I was writing it down when you were saying the last thing, but I totally forgot. So I might have to come back to it. As we kind of wrap this thing up, what's some advice you would give someone out there listening who's maybe new to the upland community? Maybe they just picked up their first bird dog. They're just getting into this hunting world, this rabbit hole that takes us into the world of bird dogs. I guess what's some advice you would give them?
Pretty much find someone that can mentor you. That's been the biggest help for us. Like, if we didn't have Scott and Thad showing us the ropes, like, we'd be kind of lost. But I mean, NSTRA in a whole, everyone's there to help you. I mean, they're your friends. They're looking to give you advice. If you want to get into National Shoot to Retrieve, go to a trial, find us, call me, send me an email. Like, sure. We just want to get people excited about this game because it's become my passion. It's become our lives, and we just want other people to experience it like we do. I mean, we go to the trial, to run our dogs, but also to hang out with our friends that have really become family.
That's awesome.
So it's important to find those people to just give you advice. I mean, bird dog people, they want more people in the game to keep it alive, and they're going to help you out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Jamie, would you add anything to that?
I mean, that's pretty much it. Just especially for NSTRA, go to a trial, and there's going to be somebody there, ready and willing to help you and guide you and, get you comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
There's any region in this country is like that, and we've been to dozens of them, literally. And that anytime we've gone somewhere, we didn't know anybody, we're next thing you know, we're having supper with these guys, like we're old friends.
Yeah.
And it's just show up, and someone will be there to help you.
Yeah. That community aspect, I think, is something that is maybe underrated even, because I
Yeah.
didn't expect that going in, but once you're in it, once you're seeing these people at trials, you're hanging around between braces, you're having lunch together, you go like, these people are, they care, like it's a community where you care about each other. Yeah, you want to beat them in
Hmm.
the brace if you're going against them,
Right.
but
Well,
you're
yeah.
also genuinely happy for someone when you saw a good dog work, you saw that brace come together for them, and that's a special component, I think, that sometimes maybe gets overlooked.
Yeah, I
Big time.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's what it's all about.
Love it. All right, guys, we're gonna last section here go through a couple rapid fire questions, and so I'll ask you
Uh-oh.
guys. I know this is the best part. This is the Upland Rookie special here. These haven't changed in a long time, so I need to do like some data collection over the years, and I need to like put together a what guest has said what and all this. But so I'll ask one question and you both answer it in your own words, and then we'll go to the next one. So first one for you guys: what came first, the dog, the gun, or the bird?
The dog.
The dog.
Dog for both of you. Okay, I had a
Yeah.
feeling. I had a feeling it was going to be
Yep.
your answer. Each of you, what gun are you carrying into the field and why?
Right. I'm carrying a Benelli Legacy. I actually had it custom fitted to me, and
Oh, nice.
it's just been a great gun. It's reliable. It's easy to carry around.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Is it Legacy a semi or a pump?
It's a semi, yeah.
Okay. Nice.
I'll add to that because Kara's much smaller than your average shotgunner. She had to have this gun
Sure.
fitted to her for her to be comfortable.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I carry an M2, an autoloader as well.
Okay.
Especially for grouse hunting, that third shot makes a difference, man.
just having that
Yeah.
just in case.
Yep.
Just in case. Awesome. All right. Pick one gauge to use for the rest of your life.
28 gauge for me.
28.
For
Okay.
sure.
Is that what
Yep.
your Benelli is in?
Yep, that's
Okay.
my go-to gauge. That's all that I use for duck hunting, everything.
Wow. Everything. Wow. That's awesome. I've never shot a 28. I definitely need to someday.
Oh, it's
but
amazing.
yeah, I shoot a 20. But how about you, Jamie?
I'm a 20 gauge guy.
Okay.
I like I've got nothing against the 12 gauge. It's just, when you're walking all day, that little bit less weight makes a difference, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I'm with you. A lot of people are with you too. All right, a couple more here. Favorite breed of dog besides the ones you own? So you never can have owned it. You cannot own this breed. So favorite dog besides the ones you own?
So I would say an English setter probably for me.
Okay.
And it's a pure style thing. I just you see one stacked up with their head up in the air and that tail kind of going in the wind. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, there's something special about it for sure.
Yeah.
How about you, Kara?
I have like a secret admiration for wire hairs.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know
I
where
thought you were
it
going to say
comes
cocker
from.
for a second. I was like, those dogs are taking
No,
over the
no,
world.
no. But for some, there's just a few out there that I've seen. They're go-getters.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, they're cool dogs. They're tough too. They are
Yeah.
tough as nails. That's for sure. I've run against a couple of them here in our region. They're good. All right. Favorite bird to hunt and why?
Well, I would say for us is grouse, rough grouse, and mostly for location because they're here. This is what we do. But it's a prestigious thing too. When these birds get pressured, they get smart and they get hard to hunt.
Yeah.
And so when everything goes right, it's a reward. It's a big deal. It's hard to kill a rough grouse in Michigan. A point flush shoot where everything went well. It's just it doesn't happen often.
Sure.
So when it does, it's
tough.
It's
tough
reward.
hunting and trees and all those.
Yeah,
other
the shots. You never have an easy shot on a rough grouse.
Sure.
Not here. So
yeah, that's awesome. Kara, would you change anything, or would you
I really like woodcock, especially for younger dogs. You can get a dog in there and actually point the bird and have the bird hold until you can get up there and flush it.
Sure.
And they're a little bit easier to get at. But yeah, either the two. I mean, those are the only wild birds we really went after.
Sure.
So.
Right on. Right on. All right. Let's go to your go-to hunting snack on a trip or a trial. Maybe you're going to a trial. You packing some snacks. What's it going to be?
I don't know. That's a good one.
I'm saying iced honey bun.
Honey bun. Okay.
Man, I love those things.
There you go. You can do a couple of those in the morning. That's a meal
no,
right there.
It's enough calories for a meal.
No, exactly. Get a little heartburn going afterwards.
Yeah.
I'd probably have to go like Flamin' Hot Cheetos with lime on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Those pack nicely. Just pop a couple of those.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, beverage of choice after a hunt or trial.
Oh, that's easy. That's a nice cold beer.
All right. You got it. You got a brand. You going fancy IPAs. You going Coors.
Michigan's a huge craft beer state.
Okay.
It's a big deal here. So I like most of that stuff, but my go-to has become Coors Light.
Yeah, there you go. There you
Coors
go.
Light,
We can be friends.
Yeah.
Love Banquet's my favorite. That's my favorite.
Yeah, no, I could do the Banquet.
Yeah.
They're a little heavier, a little more filling, I would say. But yeah, I could easily do a Banquet, no doubt.
For sure. Kara, how about you?
I'm not as exciting. I'll go like a Dr. Pepper, cherry
getting
Coke,
crazy.
something like that. Yeah,
crazy.
I get wild.
That's like my wife. She's a Diet Coke fanatic.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. All right, I'm going to throw you guys one curveball question I thought of while we were talking. We'll kind of close this out. So you've probably run against lots of different dogs, lots of different handlers in NSTRA. Each of you give me, I'm not going to say the best handler and dog, but who's the most exciting handler and dog in NSTRA that you have gotten to run against?
Well,
both of your faces went blank.
I know. Well, I get most nervous like when I watch Jamie and his dog. I don't know why. But I think both of our answers really can be like our mentors, Scott and Thad, his nephew. I mean, I don't know.
I would say Scott and Jimmy in my time in NSTRA are the two best that I've seen. Over the last 5 years, there's not been a dog that's won more.
He's four-time
national champion. And Scott's won 12 nationals.
And Scott, this is your mentors you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I would say, just watching him, and he doesn't always come out on top, but the law of average, he's going to be in the mix in the scheme of things.
And the best part about him is he wants to help everybody get into NSTRA. I mean, he'll lend you advice. Even if you don't really ask for it, you need to hear it.
Yeah,
I mean, he's just there to help. I mean, he's a really good guy.
That's
We're
awesome.
lucky to know him.
That's so cool. So cool. Well, Jamie and Kara, thank you both for jumping on here, sharing more about your story and your passion for running NSTRA and trials. It's been a ton of fun getting to know you both a little bit more, and it's exciting to hear the enthusiasm and the passion for this trial game. It's a fun one, as you know. The community, the dogs, the people you get to meet makes it pretty special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we love sharing our passion for it. Like I said, give me a call if you want to talk about dogs or NSTRA, because I'm here.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you guys on Facebook at all, or Instagram, anything like that? If people wanted to reach out, or?
Yep, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, but I don't use it very much. But we're both on Facebook.
Okay. Right on. Well, thank you both. This has been a blast, and good luck this season. Good luck at the is it the endurance one coming up September?
Yep.
Okay. Good luck at the trial coming up here in not too much longer. So hopefully you guys both do well.
Cool. Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks, guys.
It's great talking with you. I really appreciate it.
You as well. Thanks. Well, Jamie and Kara, thank you both again for jumping on the podcast, sharing your journey and your passion with us. So much fun getting to catch up with you both. Excited for the two of you and new trial season kind of upon us here in this fall, heading into the spring. And so I would encourage anyone, if you have more questions about NSTRA, feel free to reach out to me, reach out to Jamie or Kara, reach out to any member you know of NSTRA. There's got to be a lot of them out there. Ask questions. What events do you have coming up in your area? And I would encourage you, go check out a NSTRA event. You don't have to run your dog in it. You can. That's what I did. I kind of signed up for one, went and checked it out, ran my dog, had an absolute blast. And so reach out to someone you know from NSTRA today. Check out NSTRA.org, NSTRA.org. Check out more information. Become a member today. That's my plug for NSTRA. I believe in it. I love it. It's a great community of people, especially once you get through hunting wild bird season, and then you have something to look forward to. You have some goals to set on, things to work on with your dog. NSTRA is a great place to do it with like-minded people, and I think you're going to have an absolute blast. So check them out at NSTRA. All right, guys, that's it for now. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. As always, love those. Also, share an episode on social media, on your Instagram stories. Just hit that little share button on there, and tag the Upland Rookie Podcast as well. Tag us in your posts this fall, whether you're chasing prairie birds right now in North Dakota, Montana, South Dakota, wherever you are. Tag the Upland Rookie Podcast. Would love to share some of those with the listeners of the show. So until then, go put some miles on those boots and follow your favorite bird dog. Take care.